So in this video we will see how to use the loops. First of all, before going into the concept of loop, we must know why first we must use the loop. The question arises, why loops? Why use loops? Suppose there is a statement which has to be executed for n number of times continuously. So we are to execute it, we can't write that statement for n number of times. Instead of that, we can use a loop. To make it more clear, let's take that example. First we will start with while loop and we will analyze the problem, why we have to use loops and how the while loop is useful to us. So while, the syntax of the while loop is while, and within braces we are including within the brackets we are including the condition. If this condition is true, the statements within this loop, within this while loop will get executed. So remember, if this condition is true, as long as this condition is true, the statements within the brackets will be executed. So that is what you have to remember for the while loop. We will see an example of the while loop using the C code. So if a problem is given to you and you require that you print hello, you are going to print the message hello for over 100 times. So if you want to print hello for 100 times, you can't write printf hello 100 times. You can't write this printf hello 100 times. You can write, but the code size will become too long. So that's why we are going to use loops. First, we will declare integer variable I. Its initial value we will set it as 1 and we will use the while loop here. So inside this brackets we have to specify a condition. So I am specifying the condition I lesser than or equal to 100. Printf hello. So as long as this condition is satisfied, this statement will keep executing. First, now I will run this code and let's see what happens first. So the hello is printed for infinite number of times. Can you guess why it is printed infinite number of times? So because it is printed infinite number of times, we are set the value of I to 1, then we are not altering the value of I at all. Then because every time the loop executed, when this condition is checked, the condition is true every time because 1 is lesser than or equal to 100. But our aim is to print hello for 100 times only. So within this braces we have to also increment the value of I, so that this condition at one point this condition becomes false and the loop and that if this condition becomes false, then it will be the end point of this loop. The loop will stop running because we don't want our loop to run infinitely. Here we want to print hello for 100 times only. So I am incrementing I by 1. At each step I am incrementing I to 100. I is equal to I plus 1. So for the first iteration the I value will be 1, second iteration the I value will be 2, and third time the loop runs first of all, what is the term iteration is one cycle. The loop is running for one cycle, that is called as one iteration. Each time the loop runs, it is called as one iteration. So this loop will iterate for about 100 times, 1 to 100. I will become 1 first, then 2, then 3, then it will go up to 100. And when i's value becomes 101, this condition becomes false. Loop stops. So I will write it down here. The loop stops when I becomes 101. So this loop will run for I is equal to 1 to 100, which is 100 times, which we want. So now let us run this program and see. I will use a new line here, so that after the hellos do not appear like this. It looks bit clumsy when all hellos are together. So I have included the new line. If you don't know what is this new line character, if I include a new line, then we are going to go to the next line. Let's run this program and see. So all these are printed in each line. So basically we are using the new line character. We are printing the hello line by line instead of clumsily displaying all the 100 hellos together. So I hope you understood what is a while loop. Like the while loop, there is other two loops called as for loop and do while loop. This while loop comes under the category of entry controlled loop. So I will explain what is, as we go on in the next lectures. I will explain what is entry control loop, what is an exit control loop. There are two types of loops: entry control loop and exit control loops. So in this lecture we have seen how the while loop works, why we need the loops, and after that how to run an infinite loop. We have also seen when we have not included this statement I is equal to I plus 1 at each step, this loop will run infinitely. So we don't want, we have seen what is the infinite loop also, and how to avoid the infinite loop. So in the next lecture we will see how about the for loops. So till then you can subscribe and share our channel and show your support to us.